My name is Ryan Campbell, and I'm the Area Census Office Manager for the Louisville office. Our team here will be conducting and supporting census operations for the 43 middle and western counties of the Commonwealth's 120. We here are very excited and passionate about helping our country, state, cities, and local communities in conducting the 2020 census. Maybe some, but few of you know that over a 10-year span, one person averages to over $20,000 of federal funding. So say an average family size of 4 averages to over $80,000 a year. Just think about all the good that can do for us. And that's just one family. You know, we as people and in general always talk about wanting to help and support our country, the state of Kentucky, as well as our local communities, and how we can do just that. I'll tell you, by conducting the census, we are making sure that we have enough teachers and classrooms for our children, that we have enough fire and police for safety for where we live, to make sure that our hospitals are staffed with enough doctors and nurses and medical staff for our medical needs. Those are all things, but not even close to all of the benefits that we, the people, benefit from conducting the census. That's one of the many, many reasons it's so important to be counted. That's what we're asking people to do, to get counted. And speaking of getting counted, we need your help. We need your help in getting those people counted and looking for people to join our census team. Working from this office or at home or the field, the state of Kentucky is looking for approximately 40,000 applicants to help conduct this 2020 census operation. All you need to do to apply is go to 2020census.gov/jobs.
Well, April 1st, 2020, that's the date of the next census. Every 10 years, we take this self-portrait of ourselves, of who we are as a country, how we have changed, and what are the needs of the future. As Ryan said, the census impacts every aspect of our life, from road planning to schools, to medical funding, to where we even want to put businesses. And it's been said that good communities are built upon good government. And good government has been built upon good policies. And good policies are built upon having good data. And that's where the Census Bureau comes in, to provide the data that can be used by the community, by leaders in all walks of life on decisions and resource allocations. So the 2020 census, it's the 24th in our nation's history. It's embedded in the Constitution. Article 1, Section 2 requires that the government conducts a census every 10 years for the purpose of apportioning the House of Representatives. That's the base reason why we take a census. That's as important today as it was in 1790 when we took our first census. And if you think about it, when you stand up and be counted in the census, you are actually giving yourself a voice in the control of the government, because the government is supposed to be a representative of the people. And the only way to do that is to make sure each person is represented by being counted in the census. So our goal is very simple. Count everyone once, and count them in the right location. So how are we going to do that? Well, most households in mid-March, and just a few weeks away, are going to receive an invitation to respond and participate in the census. You'll get a notification. Most people will get it in the mail. Some in the rural areas will have it hand-delivered to their house. And there'll be a code on there, and all we need is one person in the house to go online or to fill out a form or to call a toll-free number and simply say, who's in your house? And the questions are only about 9 or 10 questions, and it only takes a few minutes to complete it. And the importance, as Ryan already said, will last and benefit your community for the next 10 years. So for the 2020 census, we're going to make it a little easier than before. As I said, this is the first time we're going to allow an internet response. It's the first time we're going to have toll-free numbers that people can call, and they're going to be supporting in 13 different languages, and over 59 language guides will be available to help people complete the census. Now, there's one thing that a lot of people are a little apprehensive about is, how are their individual information being used? And I'm going to say something right now, and it'll be okay to laugh. I'm from the government, and you can trust me. This is confidential by law. U.S. Code Title 13 requires that the Census Bureau keep your individual information confidential. We can only produce statistical totals. We cannot share your individual information with anyone else, including other government agencies or law enforcement. It is strictly confidential. After 72 years, your records will be available, which the genealogists love, but we do keep them secret for 72 years. So I mentioned that in mid-March you'll be getting the invitation to respond. We do ask that you respond with the number of people who are in your house on April 1st. If you don't respond online, then, if you don't respond to the census either online or by phone or on the old-fashioned paper questionnaire, then come in May. We're going to send people that we hire temporarily to knock on your doors to assist you in completing the form. And again, as Ryan already said, we are looking for people from every neighborhood to help their neighbors participate in the census. People will be temporary federal employees. It is a federal job, so there will be background checks that people have to go through. We need to know who we're sending to knock on your door for everyone's safety. And by December 31st of this year, we are going to give the count of the states to the President and to the Congress for the purpose of apportioning the House of Representatives. And by April 1st, 2021 will be the dates that the states get the individual geographic areas for redistricting purposes. So one thing that I also like to remind folks is our residency rules. We count you where you live and sleep most of the time, which may be a little bit different than your legal address. So college students are counted at the colleges. If people who are experiencing in temporary shelters, if that's where they're living at the time we take the census, and that's where they'll be counted. So I know there's a number of you in the audience here today that are some of our most important key partners, and we can't thank you enough for being here. We can't thank you enough for the work that you are doing to educate and motivate members of your community to participate. Now, I do have one little announcement to make. I'm going to talk to Mayor Fisher for a second here. We will be starting to have what's called a response rate on our website, so you can see every community and how well they are responding to the census.
There are 120 counties, and another 42 served by this office, and another 77 served across the state. And we are concerned about response rates. We are concerned about how people will get to their census and make sure that they fill out their census. And the message that I have for everybody at home, because I do believe in being brief, if you're interested in making sure that your schools get the right amount of federal funding, fill out the census. If you're interested in making sure that the roads in this county and in this state are taken care of and we get our fair share of federal funds, fill out the census. If you're worried about somebody maybe coming to your door, fill out the census. If you want to make sure that we have great representation that we have right here, and you want to make sure that Kentucky is fairly and accurately represented, not only in the Senate, but in the House, fill out the census. So I think you're getting a theme. The best way you can participate, and it is a constitutional duty. It is a constitutional duty. We don't get many of those asked of us. We are supposed to fill out the census so we can be counted, so that we can know and have an accurate representation of who we are. So, you'll get a little form in the mail. You can fill it out online. You can fill it out on paper. Is there still a call-in every once in a while? Okay, yeah, there's a toll-free number. You can 13 languages, another 50 or so. So please, there's no excuse. You can do it. Just a few sentences to fill out. Make sure that you count all of these. These are hard to count, under 5. People forget to do that. We've got lots of colleges here. Make sure that you're answering, if you're here for 9 months, that this is where you're from. Because this is where we're having EMS. This is where the roads are. This is where the schools are. This is where some of our funding for our food banks, some of our funding for some of the other many special programs that we have here. This is where you're consuming those services. So remember to count those. Catalina is leading for the city. There are also hard to count populations, folks who are new to this country, who have come from places where a census is a threat. There's some who have made this a threat and feel like there's a threat in this country, but it is not. So remember, the thing you have to do, fill out the census. Thank you all.
Well said. Thank you very much, Eric. Next, I would like to welcome Mayor Greg Fisher, City of Louisville. Mayor Fisher.
All right, thank you so much, Ryan. I think this is one of these press conferences where everything has been said, but not everybody has said it yet. So I think we're kind of beating the same message up here time and time again, with the exception of our friend Phil over here. So if we have a bet on bourbon between Louisville and Lexington, will the federal government sanction that bet?
That's confidential.
Sounds like a yes to me. All right. Well, I've just, as has been mentioned up here, look, completing the census is a kind of bedrock issue of democracy where each and every one of us can say, okay, I participated. I did my fundamental duty as a citizen to be counted. So maybe there's going to be a lot of ways to motivate people to be counted here with the census. Elected officials have a big part to do with that, to send the message, and I would like to recognize several here. Senator Gerald Neal is looking good in his bow tie up here in the front row. Thank you very much. Attica Scott, representing this area of the city and the state, thank you for being here as well. Barbara Sexton-Smith, our wonderful councilwoman from District 4, is here. Corey Shull from the school board, doing a tremendous job. And I see Marty Polio here as well, the superintendent of JCPS. So thank each and every one of you all for being here and using your platforms to send this message on the census. You know, our city is beautifully diverse and growing more and more diverse every year. And I think that's something that puts a smile on most everybody's face, certainly mine, in this community. And I encourage folks, especially our foreign-born folks, to help the city by inviting their friends, their relatives, to move to our city so we can even look more like the rest of the world. Our kids need to grow up in a city that looks like the world, so they're prepared to compete in the world and they see the beautiful diversity that is the strength of the world in our country and certainly our city as well. That leads to some challenges because some of our folks that are from countries other than the U.S., and Eric mentioned this, their relationship with the government is always not very good in many countries where governments are there to repress. In our country, that certainly, we never intend that to be the case, but we find in terms of populations that are most difficult to count, it will be our immigrant community, it will be kids under 5, which I never got that. I mean, if you have a kid under 5, I mean, you know they are in the house. You know, it's like, how do you forget them all of a sudden? You know, and then African American men between 18 and 24 as well. So anybody that can help raise the consciousness to count all these folks, let them know. Philip talked about the confidentiality of the census as well, and that's important for our foreign-born friends. Because remember, the census is not to count our citizens, it's to count our residents, okay, and that's in the Constitution. So it's a drastic difference between a citizen and a resident. So we want to count everybody for all of these reasons that have been put forth here today. Now, to do that, your metro government has has a municipal complete count committee, and that's run by Catalina Cordova over here. Catalina, if you would raise your hand. Now, let's give it up for Catalina. So Catalina is running the city's efforts to mobilize her big committee. Do we have any other committee members here from our Metro Count Committee? Thank you. Everybody that's raising their hand, thank you. Thank you, Bobber. And we're asking these folks to help us not only count everybody, but really focus on these hard-to-count populations as well. So Catalina, thank you very much for what you're doing, and please let us, everybody know here how we can help you, okay? And then one other point is the 2020 census is hiring thousands of temporary workers, so I want to emphasize that as well. Sometimes people find themselves out of work. This is a great opportunity to plug that hole for, what would this be, a 6-month assignment or so, more or less? So it's a good paying job, then you can help the country at the same time. So you can apply online at 2020census.gov/jobs, and if our friends in the media would put that out, we would appreciate that. And I just want to again say this is great. We've been all building up toward this over the last couple of years now. Now it's officially starting and soon will be underway. So to mark this wonderful day in our history, Ryan, we have a proclamation celebrating the census that you guys can hang up here and be proud, and just know the city of Louisville is proud to work with you guys. Thank you very much.
Next up, I would like to welcome Claudia Peralta-Mudd, who is one of our partnership specialists here in Kentucky. Claudia?
Good morning, everybody. Buenos dias. Salam alaikum. As you heard many times, we talk about today about diversity. So, and this is me, this is us. You know, diversity is here, so this is one of the reasons I work for the census. As Ryan said, my name is Claudia Peralta-Mudd. I am a partnership specialist at the U.S. Census. As a partnership specialist, my job is that, going to the different communities in Kentucky, and I say Kentucky, although my counties are only five, of the 120, but I support all the 120s because my ability is to speak other languages. As you can imagine, people has many questions about the census. Most of the time, the questions are, why me? Why I need to do that? It doesn't affect my life. Well, as you heard over and over, affects our life daily, everybody's life. The census touches everybody, every day, every single day on these next 10 years. When you answer the questionnaire, absolutely, you're shaping the future. Not just your future, but also your children's future. As you can imagine, many of the people like me come to this country not because our present day is because the future, but we coming here for a better future. We also thinking about our kids. That's why it's important to count them. The roads that you heard, the schools, you know, we talk about crowded schools. A lot of kids in each classroom. So that is why it's important. It really affects your life. Every time your child gets a free lunch, every time your child can go to activity after school, it's just because there is some money allocated. The money comes from the census data. Well, make sure you do your part. As you heard too, when the invitation comes mid-March, just do it. Don't wait. We are very happy in these communities because we have a lot of partners. As you can see, we have a full room here. The same was in Lexington and any of the offices that we have. How you can help? Just that. Just talking to anybody around you. It's important for people to know that the census is coming and why it's important to you. As we heard too, it is safe and confidential. It's important to me as a partnership specialist representing the international community to emphasize that every single day. All the information that we collect is not going to be shared with anybody. We're just counting the people. We don't need to know what is your legal status. We don't care for that. We need to know how many people are here to serve better our communities. It is important. We do it only every 10 years. So we are setting up our history, our social services, our education system for the next 10 years. So you're responsible for that, not just government. Everybody here is responsible. It is easy, as you heard over and over too, this year even better because we have 13 languages done. And as you can imagine, Spanish is one. But we also have interpretation over the phone for over 50 other languages. Our state is, as I mentioned, is amazing about all the partners that we have. And I want to mention one specifically, because mid-March, when you get the invitation on the mail, You will be able, if you don't feel like it, if you don't know what to do, or if you have any questions, you can walk to any public library that is close to you, and they will help you. Every time the public library is open, any day of the day, you can walk in and ask for help. They will be able to help you in any language, any time of the day. We have 16 branches here in Jefferson County, for example, but around Kentucky, all the libraries are on just in this effort. Now, I'm gonna make a switch here, and I'm gonna speak to my friends, to my neighbors, en español. Ahora quiero hablarle a mis vecinos. Aquí hoy hay varios de los vecinos a los que hablo. Hay varias personas que hablan español y sin duda representan a nuestra comunidad. Muchos de ustedes llegaron a este país simplemente porque tenemos la necesidad de un futuro mejor. No solamente por ustedes, sino también por nuestros niños. Pensamos en ellos todos los días. Los mandamos a la escuela, los educamos. Estamos seguros de que tomen el transporte escolar, que puedan comer en la escuela. Todo eso es fundamentalmente por la información que recolectamos con el censo. Muchos de nosotros no confiamos, como dijeron antes, en la actividad que desarrolla el gobierno, pero aquí estoy para asegurarles que esto es confidencial. No compartiremos la información de ustedes con nadie. Simplemente saldrá la información de forma estadística, lo que significa que su nombre no figura en las formas. ¿Cómo puedo ayudar a mi comunidad? Así de simple. Simplemente hablando con los vecinos, con la gente en la tienda, en el supermercado, con mis amigos de la escuela, con todos ellos para que así puedan saber que a partir de marzo el censo está viniendo y que es importante que todos cuenten. El censo es fácil de completar. Como dije anteriormente, se puede completar en diferentes idiomas, español siendo uno de ellos. Si tienen alguna duda, pueden acercarse simplemente a la biblioteca pública más cercana y así ellos lo podrán ayudar. Y para terminar, les digo, estén seguros que Shape the Future Start Here, dale forma a tu futuro, empieza aquí. Thank you.
Claudia, thank you so much. Well said in both ways. Next up, I would like to introduce you all to Sadiqa Reynolds, who is the president and CEO of the Louisville Urban League. Sadiqa?
Oh, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Claudia, whatever she said, that's what I'm saying. That's exactly right. I brought some of the folks from the Urban League. We have 3 people at the league, three that speak Spanish, and so I wanted to make sure we had someone here. So I'm so excited that you were here and able to do that. Just so thankful for your commitment to this community. Claudia and I met 1,000,000 years ago when we were 5 years old. Not a million, right? 5 years ago, right. I am here, obviously, as president of the Louisville Urban League, and I want people to understand just how important these census are. And I think you've heard from everybody about why. I don't need to say that. You know the why. I also want to address something. I whispered over to the mayor. I said, gosh, you know how many people are so afraid, really are feeling afraid to participate. They really don't believe us that this is confidential, that the information won't be used in other ways. And I think it's important for you to know that even here on the speakers, I like to tell people, even with all these titles that I've had and educational achievements, I still have the same concerns that many people in our community have. And I want you to know that we've looked into it over and over. We've talked to people over and over. We've looked at the history of what the census has been used for. And the truth of the matter is that we honestly believe that we can stand here in good faith and say to you, it is so important to participate. Your information is not going to be used. It really is confidential. They're holding on to it. It does matter. You do need to be counted. Your legal status doesn't matter. The situation in the home doesn't matter. We just need you to participate. We need every mother to answer the questions for everybody in her household. We need every father to answer the questions for every person in their household. We need grandmothers and aunties, uncles, everybody to participate here and to answer the questions for everyone in your household. This does matter, and it will matter for a long, long time. 10 years of educational funding, 10 years of federal funding. This matters, and we are going to participate. The Urban League has on average 20,000 visits a year. We're going to tell everybody who's at the league when they're coming in, we need them to participate. If they'd like to use our computers to participate, that's fine. If while they're waiting, they want to get on the phone and do it on the 800 number, that's fine. We just want to make sure that everyone participates. One other way that we're partnering with the Census is that we've already had 2 job fairs, I think, maybe more. I don't really actually know every day what's going on at the Urban League. It's a lot of stuff. But we've had some job fairs. We have been able to help people get hired. There are a significant number of my team members who are here with us today. I'd like for you to stand or wave your hand because I think it's important. Lyndon's in the back on the wall. Stand up. Yeah, please. And we're here today because we know how important this is. This is probably one of the most important press conferences this city has held. And so we are asking you, knowing full well the concerns, we are asking everybody in this community to please, please, please participate. We are actually counting on you, and especially counting on you to count those babies under 5 because we've got to make sure that they're all counted. So thank you all so much. And to the elected officials who have shown up here today, and you're sitting there, I don't know why I'm up here, but whatever the reason, I just want you to know that we see you, we understand and appreciate everything you do in this community to help us ensure that we all really do count every single day. So thanks to everybody who's here. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Sadiqua. Next up, I'd like for you all to give a warm welcome to Laura Whittaker, who is the Kentucky Nonprofit Network. Laura?
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I'm Laura Whittaker. I'm the Associate Director of Kentucky Nonprofit Network, Kentucky's State Association of Nonprofits, and I'm honored to be here today on behalf of the Count Me in 2020 Kentucky Nonprofit Coalition. Thanks to Mayor Fisher, to Secretary Friedlander, to all the other elected officials and speakers who have been here so far before me. And also want to say thank you to Philip Lutz and Michelle Ellison, Dan Munchbach, Danny Rogers, Claudia Peralta Mudd, Ryan Campbell, and Carolyn Franklin, lots of folks from the U.S. Census Bureau for allowing me to be here today to speak with you about the role of nonprofits in ensuring Kentucky's complete census count, and also for helping and guiding us along the way in all the work we've done so far. So as you all know, an accurate and complete census count is absolutely critical to Kentucky's communities, and Kentucky simply cannot afford to leave dollars on the table when our needs are so great. So Kentucky's nonprofit organizations know this, and because of their trusted relationships with their communities, including hard to count, hard to locate, hard to contact, hard to persuade, hard to interview folks, nonprofits are in a unique position to make a difference and to ensure an accurate 2020 census count. Nonprofits are located in communities most at risk of being undercounted. These organizations maintain everyday contact, manage cultural sensitivities, and meet language needs within the communities they serve. Driven by social missions, nonprofits strive to ensure their communities have access to the funds, services, representations, and infrastructure affected by the census count. These organizations are keenly aware of the negative impact that an undercount will have on their communities. Nonprofits also know that they will likely be left trying to make up for any of the shortfalls due to an incomplete census count and that subsequent lack of funding. Unlike some other states, Kentucky has not yet dedicated any funding to census efforts, so many nonprofits have already been hard at work filling in those gaps. We know that nonprofits are busy. They have full plates, just like the rest of us. So in early 2019, thanks to generous support from Kroger, Kentucky Nonprofit Network launched a Nonprofits Count initiative to make engagement as easy as possible for our nonprofit partners.
This is something done only once in 10 years, and it's vital we do it, and we do it right by getting everyone counted. I thank you all for your support and participation, and I hope the rest of your day is a great one. Thank you so very much.